Howdy, folks. Welcome to a duo pubcast because it's just me and Kim.
It
Um,
does.
so Jill is in Japan. Darren is on LV426 because he went to see Alien and Aliens tonight in the Lighthouse Cinema and forgot that was happening and then had to kind of back out last minute. Poor lad, but he's enjoying himself. So that's all that matters. And it's
Yeah,
Darren looking at xenomorphs on the big screen. So it's a happy place.
yeah.
So you just have the two parental version or parental nodes in Pubcast because we're at home with the kids. So we're doing a
Just the
podcast
two.
and the dog. Maxwell is here too. So look, doggo cameos are fantastic. I've been doing Twitch streams with D8 Dungeon of late, and we're getting loads of cat arseholes on the screen. So I'll take a dog bark over a cat arsehole any day, no problem whatsoever. Welcome to Pubcast. As always, I'm Wayne.
I'm Kim. This is Maxwell. He's gonna shut his face. No. Let's see. Let's see. Place your bets, folks.
We'll see what happens.
Hey, friend.
What's the crack? That's what, it was real funny. I told her, it's just me and Kim doing the podcast. Like, I go on, have the chats, have the chats. It'd be grand.
We're going to. We've had like it's been a while since we were. We have to drink for a shitty callback.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. I was thinking about the stuff I was saying last time, and you know the way a lot of ranty people are just doing 100% projection.
Sure. I've been
Remember
there.
me?
I've been there.
Remember me talking about how some RPGers are a bit emotional or socially unaware.
Sure.
I'm just thinking about our last when we were with Dakota Irish at Gamerfest.
Oh, nearly a year ago
and
now.
I was talking to Amanda, and I thought I was being totally reasonable, and I could just see her face going.
Yeah. That happened. That did happen.
I was just like a calf that had been just let out of a shed.
Well, in your defense, Kim, in your defense, we were coming out we were starting to socialize again following COVID.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and Gamerfest is coming up again in May, and there is stuff in the works for Dakota Irish and their gaming section, and they're reaching out to see who's interested in doing things, and I think we're going to be doing something again. We'll see what happens. I think it's the weekend of May 27th and 28th, so we'll see what we can do. It was
great fun. Yeah. It was like, I can't believe how much buzz there was around the tabletop gaming area, but I have to say, watching actual like these whiz kids playing Valorant on a giant screen, it was so thrilling.
I don't get this. We've had this conversation before, I think, in person, but you like watching people play video games.
But this is, people make fun of kids now, and they're like, oh my god, my kid's on YouTube watching a kid play with toys. My kid's on YouTube watching a kid play another game. Just play the game. You have the game. You play the game. I'm like, no, I was, as a college student, watching other people play video games. Like, they're just better at it than me. And I like, it's thrilling watching this, like, this 15-year-old that is basically half computer at this point. Like their PC gaming is on that. They've melted into
They're members of the Borg. It's like, you know what it is? It's like the baddie in Superman 3 when she gets sucked into the supercomputer and she turns into that robot. It's fucking terrifying.
It's stunning to watch too, because the real pros, especially at Gamerfest, they weren't moving, Wayne. It's like 5 kids on one side, 5 kids on the other. I say kids, that's 19-year-olds to us now, but just this. And when I think about, I remember I have very relatable experience that I can relate to that situation. I remember once I was trying to hit a high score on the original SingStar because the original SingStar had a mission portion.
It had a storyline, like it had a quest line.
Yes, you started out on a small toilet circuit singing 2 songs, 3 songs, and if you killed it at your gigs, you got given bigger gigs. You had different songs that you could perform. You unlocked songs as you went along, and then you got given bigger and the goal was in the original SingStar was to get the big gig at the end, the like arena gig. And consider now, these are PS2 graphics,
Yeah.
but you were looking at the crowd for this, and it was
Okay.
thrilling. It was thrilling, but I couldn't get the high score to really to get to the big concert that you had to give at the end, because I jumped too much and my breathing would fuck me up for sustained notes.
Sure.
And I can't remember whether it was you or our friend Matt the Flying Pirate that came back to our shared house to find me in a dark house where night had fallen around me, and I was in roller skates, because when I was in the roller skates I couldn't jump.
I think,
and I had to stop the jumping because I was losing
I'm trying to
points.
remember if that was me or Matt or both of us at the same time.
I don't know, but if ever I
here's the thing,
slagged
Kim,
you,
that could have been multiple occasions of us just walking in.
I only resorted to putting on roller skates to keep me stable once. Who puts on roller skates to be stable? Anyway, but I can't jump in them and I can't bounce in them, so it kept me level. And I was gaming that I wasn't singing. It wasn't singing. Singing is an act of joy and celebration.
It's like when you're playing, because I've been in those situations where you're playing SingStar with some people and they do the quiet thing where they're like just hitting that, they're just like, but they're hitting the bar, and they are hitting it, but they're not really giving it welly. And really, you want to be giving it welly, because that's karaoke.
Oh, I think the Pubcast has proved that we have a creed when it comes to how to do SingStar.
And not like you want to take us higher anywhere with creed or anything like that.
But on this one, I need to hack it. But I think it's funny that I would be the one that used to come into the house and find y'all's playing WoW in the dark, because night had fallen around you, and I'd make fun of you. So mine is worse. So
and we'd be in the dark shouting. I'd be upstairs and Matt would be downstairs, and we'd be shouting down to each other and up to each other. I mean, look, I think voyeurism when it comes to video games has been around for a very, very long time, and I think key moments with video game voyeurism, I think initially it stemmed from tournaments. The one big one in my mind that always crops out at me when I ask the question to myself, who likes watching people play video games? The one tournament moment that jumps out to me is Evo Moment 37, which is the big Street Fighter moment of the. I think it's called it's a particular name for it's a parry. So it's a perfect parry. So it's a tournament, and anyone that knows, like, it's one of those internet moments. Like, it's up there with Shoes or Piano Cat or Chocolate Rain. It's one of those moments, but it was basically a tournament where this dude is, early. But,
you have to put all those links underneath this, by the way. I'll put Keyboard Cat in.
Yeah, I Keyboard Cat. But I'll put this in. Like, I'll put it in for people that don't know. It's going in now.
Rare footage of Daigo actually angry. Justin's turtle style. Overcome Rao. Now on the verge of putting Daigo down 1-0.
And that was Evo Moment 37, where it's literally this very famous parry of somebody who thinks they're about to win a Street Fighter tournament, a major Street Fighter tournament, if not the Street Fighter tournament. And this player goes all in, and this other player just parries every single hit, full on, and the crowd got fucking mental. And
so the timing is like supernatural.
100%. But like, you could see the two people playing it, and it was just like you said, the kids were just still. Like, there was no emotion involved.
No.
Now, I've played Street Fighter, and there's only one person that I can't beat in Street Fighter to this day, and that's my buddy Mike Murphy. And I got this close once. I got this close.
On the health bar.
The bollock hair of closeness, right? And he pulled it out of the bag and he beat me, and I went fucking apeshit.
Yeah.
I lost the plot. So these people, like, they're able to keep their calm and do that. I tip my hat to them. Fair play.
Yeah.
I still haven't beaten Mike to this day Street Fighter in any iteration.
Did you have I think like I see why someone would watch a Twitch stream of someone just being incredible at Fortnite or being incredible at or playing Minecraft in a way that would be absolutely no fun to do yourself.
Yeah.
Like the Breath of the Wild randomizer that that some of them have been doing is it would just be horrendous. It would be horrible to do yourself, but it's really fun to watch somebody else do it.
Randomizers have become really big. Randomizers in a game, Elden Ring, have become huge. And randomizing the villains.
Yeah. Changing all the atmosphere and having baddies spawn in places where they shouldn't.
They definitely
but
shouldn't
I would rather disembowel myself than to be running around on a quarter heart where guardians will appear in your jocks.
Yeah.
So it was like, but you know, go off, sis. Nintendo have been acting the maggot again.
There's been a few big companies acting the maggot, but just before we jump off onto that one, which we will, there's also a big call for people playing video games badly, or playing video games that they've never played before
in a relatable way,
reactionary way. Right. I have a friend of mine, Pagan. And I'll put a link to Pagan's channel.
Yeah.
Here. Pagan Plays. You can find her on Twitch. And she's been playing through the Dead Space games. And she's never played them before. And the Dead Space games are horror. Really hard. They're horror. Yeah. Like, they'll scare the bejesus out of you. Like, it's body horror. So, you know, it's in my wheelhouse. But they're fun. They're great games. And the first one recently got a remake. And Pagan has been playing through the Dead Space games. And it's her first time playing through them. And her reactions to them are just like... like more animated than that, obviously, but like screams and shouts. So yeah, no, go check that out.
I'd love to see that.
Go check it out. Yeah, it's really good fun. Like, you know,
Lisa Marie Farrell posts about her frightening the shite out of herself playing Resident Evil. I'm like, post it, but Bob, video it, put it up. My God,
and I think that's it as well. Because we like people are, for whatever reason, people are hungry to see content like that. Because when we did the karaoke night in yours and we played SingStar, we went down to Kim's. The night before we recorded the second to last D&D session we did for Sorcery Shenanigans, so it was episode 8. We did that in Kim's house. The night before that, we all went down, we had dinner, and then we got drunk, and we were up till 5 a.m. doing SingStar, screaming our heads off in the middle of the country, and nobody around, so it was great. And but we posted about something. We posted about Star Trek, the video game, Experience Beige, on Facebook. Kim did, and people were like, "Where's the stream? Where's the video? We want to see it." Like, you know, so like people are just, they want to see those things, and I guess that's what entertainment has become. So much so that you now have well-known people. Like, for example, I went to see the Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast.
Yes, please talk about that, because
Monday.
Who doesn't love that show in this country?
Like, the show is fantastic and has been going for forever. But now they've started to do a podcast of them rewatching the show from the beginning, and they're up. So
where are they now?
They're up to the start of season 5.
Okay.
I think it's season 5 is where they're currently at. Now, my point being is that podcast has garnered a massive following, so much so that they've started to take it on the road, and there's thousands, like the Point Theatre or the Tree Arena, whatever the fuck people call it.
Yeah,
it was full, like packed to the gills. 2 nights of just them coming out on stage talking about the show, not doing.
They couldn't get over that. Was that genuine? They were really shocked.
They were. I think it was. So they'd done 2 nights in London beforehand, and the crowd in London was big, but I think the crowd in Dublin was bigger. They did. I could be wrong with where they did it in London. Let me look it up actually, because I don't want to be wrong on this. I nearly swear they did. I think they actually did the Royal Albert Hall. If I'm Oh, Royal Albert Hall. Yeah, Royal Albert Hall. So they did the Royal Albert Hall. I don't know what the capacity is of the Royal Albert Hall.
It's not as big as some of them, but yeah, it's decent.
capacity of the Royal Albert Hall is actually not that many at all. It's less than
Nope.
6,000.
Yeah.
And the Tree Arena is 13,000, so double the size.
For 2 nights.
For 2 nights, and it wasn't. I don't think it was fully sold out, but it was damn close to sold out.
Well,
So
the only reason it wasn't fully sold out was because the price of the tickets.
price of the tickets
Jesus Christ.
were insane. I will say that ticket prices were mental. The ticket seats we were in were like up on the gods, and off to the side, but it was fine. It was grand. And I did say to the lads when we were leaving, says if we ever do something like this again, we'll shout for the more expensive tickets because it would have made a hell of a lot of difference to our enjoyment.
Yeah.
If we were all the way down where they were right at the front of them, because they engaged with everyone, but they specifically engaged very much so with the crowd in
With the
front
box,
of them.
yeah.
It was a fun show. They went through a few things about Ireland and stuff like that, and because they did an Irish two Irish episodes last season, that everyone thought they filmed here. They didn't. They filmed.
I thought they filmed here.
No. So there was a call for extras and for stunt doubles for Ireland for the secondary unit, but they filmed it because of COVID restrictions. They couldn't come here.
Oh, okay.
So they filmed it
the
in
B-roll was Irish.
The B-roll was Irish, but they filmed it in a small island in the Pacific Ocean that looks like Ireland.
It's called New Zealand.
But that's what they claimed anyway. Now I don't know how much of that was true, but they zoomed out and they said this is where we filmed. We couldn't actually come to Ireland, and so take it with a grain of salt, I guess. Whether it was true or not, I don't know, but that's what they said. But yeah, no, it was a fun show. Had a good night, and the price for the tickets right in front of them were like €300, 300 euros a pop.
And for a podcast, like it's a podcast. It's not like they're gonna do a sketch show for you.
No, like they did. They went through some clips of the show. They talked about some of the behind the scenes stories. They had talked about Charlie learning Irish, and he talked a bit of Irish on stage, and the crowd went crazy because we're marks. Irish people are marks. Like
they seem to be coming from the right place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're so talented, every one of them.
Yeah, so they were getting hammered on stage as well. Like Glenn Howerton was wasted by the end of it. But I felt terrible for them because the Tree Arena is sponsored by Heineken. So the booze there is Heineken. They couldn't make Guinness. No Guinness there, right?
Yeah, it's probably just as well or he'd be asleep.
So here's the thing. They did have stout. They had Ireland's Edge, which is the new stout made from tea. Now, I have not drank it. I have no intention of drinking it because fuck that noise. But they didn't know themselves what it was. They couldn't say Guinness on stage because of the sponsorship in the arena. But Charlie slipped once and he said Guinness.
Right.
But then there's a video of him playing the piano and it's Glenn Howerton filming, and it goes out onto the crowd and you can see that the pint that's sitting on top of his piano, it's an Ireland's Edge glass, so I'm guessing that's what they were drinking. But that's
what it was.
They couldn't tell the difference. They were like, "Oh, this stout is lovely," so on and so forth. But no, it was a fun show, and they did 2 nights in Dublin. And but the podcast itself, my point being, long story to a long story. My point being is that talking about like people being interactive and wanting to see behind the curtain and wanting to see that kind of weird voyeurism reality TV element to it, where they get to see the actors be themselves rather than be the characters and talk about the show. That's become such a huge thing, even compared to what the show is. Like, it's more accessible, I suppose, because you can listen to it on your phone and whatever.
Yeah.
But
you can listen to it while your children are telling you about Minecraft for 25 minutes.
Exactly. But like like with us, like we only recently in the last year and a half, because of everything, maybe 2 years, have done the video podcast as well as the audio podcasts.
Yeah.
But they've become a massive thing because you see people talking, you see their faces, and it seems like you're definitely fully interacting with them. We've never done the likes of Twitch because, well, 2 things. There's some logistics behind it, which is fine. With OBS, you can work that out.
Can you imagine? Look at my camera.
Well,
look at my camera.
Here's the thing, though. And I only found this out recently. I did not know this until recently with D8 Dungeon. You cannot drink on Twitch.
Yes, yes.
I did not know that.
They're a bunch of narcs. Yeah. Now, myself and Jill can be fully in a hot tub.
You know, so
No, not ruling you two out.
no,
100%.
But I mean, look,
I love workarounds. Workarounds are my favorite. I love seeing people work around terms of service on different platforms.
yeah,
You know,
working the system is perfectly fine. I'm totally okay with that. But yeah, so it's the show was fun. But let's go back to what you had mentioned earlier on with Nintendo being dicks, because a few of the big corporation situations. There is
a game as played by a member of the public privately in their house that they paid for and are not licensed to distribute. But there's a user contract for content creators where you go, hi, I'm going to be playing this game, not privately. I am going to be making money off it, but I promise to honor whatever this contract says. And there's a YouTuber I really like called Point Crow. He plays a lot of Nintendo stuff. He plays a lot of Pokemon stuff. And he made his own mod. And Nintendo didn't just give him a strike. They gave him 2 strikes on 2 separate videos on the same vibe. Like, they could have just given him 1.
Yeah.
But if you get 3 strikes, your account is deleted. And they gave him 2 on 2 different ones. Like I'm as a hang on. Just if Darren's gonna be at Aliens, I may as well be an absolute fucking caricature as well.
Look, you know,
we
look at your
represented,
brother, you know?
Yeah.
Gandalf throwing the hands,
Throwing the hand
like Ozzy, giving it all that.
That's so good. I was wondering, I could see Tirith up there. I'm like, I wonder what the rest of that says.
Rogue print t-shirts, folks. Check them out. They're awesome.
Oh, very good. Very good. I will look at that. But yeah, they really fucked them up on that. I have to look up what happened. But Nintendo are particularly precious. And it's a shame because they're like 20 years behind everyone else when it comes to the tech of how games are played these days.
They do their thing, and it kind of has worked for them forever. So
yeah, and I'm gonna pay fucking €70 for the next one. So like, what?
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, look, I dropped 80 quid today on a game that I'm half-assed about. So I mean, like, the lads want to play Diablo 4, and I'm like, okay. I didn't like Diablo 3 because it was boring. And I'm probably going to get a lot of stick for that, but I don't care. It was boring. But Mooney made a stipulation, said, if we're going to play this, you have to let Wayne and myself listen to the fucking story and the cutscenes, because Jamie and Adam just talk over them.
No!
But,
no! I would hate that.
Yeah. Oh, they love it. They do it because it pisses us off. That's why. But I didn't enjoy a Diablo 3 because it was literally, we did a speed run of that game because the other 3 had played it before. I hadn't. And it was just like
the cutscenes. I need them for story.
And the art direction in Diablo, it's a Blizzard game, so it's going to be nice. And also, part of me is like, you know what, fuck Blizzard, but
yeah. Look, we've all been caught. People who want to be conscientious and are trying to purchase ethically. It's a fucking hard world out there, isn't it? Was it no ethical purchases under capitalism?
That's true.
Yeah.
Poor
Doug Forsett from The Good Place. He tried his best.
Yeah. So look, Bernie Sanders has never played a Blizzard game in his life.
No.
You know.
All I'm saying is, if I had hearing aids, I could understand what was going on in the scene.
I'm going to tell you, I would play it if they paid the workers the right amount. Yeah. That's a bit Richard Nixon more than
1% of people who work in Blizzard are good, and it's not enough. Anyway, Nintendo acting the maggot, and
now here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, that is terrible, right? But I can show you an evil corporation that beats that happened, that the news dropped, I think, in the last 24 hours, right? It sounds like something from it sounds like something that should have happened in the 40s if we had the level of game.
Oh, go for it,
right?
Well, now, Wayne, tell me what you're talking about.
Let me tell you, darling. Right. Well, Wizards of the Coast.
Oh,
Wizards of the Coast, the owners of Magic the Gathering. Okay? There was a guy who pre-ordered a new pack, the Magic the Gathering was constantly bringing out new kind of
yes,
upgrades,
yes.
right? So there's a new one coming out.
There's
Can't remember-
always money in the
There's
banana stand.
always, right? I've dipped my toe in the Magic the Gathering pool, and it didn't suck me under all the way. I only got up to my knee, and then I pulled it back out again. But a new pack was coming out, or a new themed kind of boost was coming out, or whatever the fuck they call these things, decks.
Yeah.
And this guy pre-ordered it apparently with his supplier, and it arrived early. So his supplier broke the street date.
Oh, right.
And he took a picture of it and put it on the internet. And Wizards of the Coast, wait for this, sent Pinkertons to his house to retrieve the cards and threatened him with thousands of dollars worth of fines. For
Oh,
receiving...
yeah, they flat out sent...
They sent Pinkertons. Pinkertons. Like, Pinkertons, anyone who doesn't know what a Pinkerton is, Google that shit. Pinkertons are basically, like, they're when there's no cops around, these are like hired thugs with badges. That's what they are.
Yeah.
And they're from, like, they started thinking in the 1700s, like, or the 1800s in the States. But they're still going, like, they're just basically thugs with badges. But they sent Wizards of the Coast, rather than putting an injunction on the guy or getting a lawyer involved, sent Pinkertons to his house to retrieve the cards and charge him and say, we're going to fine you because he's like, I didn't do, like, my supplier sent me these.
Presumably because he's just a man who is excited about magic,
Look, he's just an ordinary man. Just an ordinary
just
man.
an innocent man.
Just an innocent man.
Yeah.
That is.
Presumably they, oh my God.
It's baffling that, like, that is happening. That happens. Like, the evil corporations, like, it's literally, they're in their boardrooms twirling their mustaches. We must sell the Pinkertons. Yes, nah.
Oh my God. They had to hit the button on the desk that said Pinkertons. They had to skip over about 5 buttons to get to that one.
Yeah, like, it's like they got past the sharks with lasers on their heads to get to the Pinkertons. You know what I mean? It's like, oh,
Jesus Christ.
So
going nuclear.
But it's an old school problem for a new age issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, send in the Pinkertons. Like, that's not like they didn't get his social media account suspended, they didn't get his stream suspended, they didn't do anything like that. They were like, send in the Pinkertons.
A Bobby with a truncheon and a whistle.
Keystone Cops turned up to his house.
Jesus Christ, the poor fella must have shot himself.
Oh yeah, I just saw it on Twitter earlier on today, and I was just like, am I reading this right? It's like, yeah, I think there's an article on IO9 or Gizmodo or one of them.
I mean, it's quite the message. I mean, if you're gonna send a message, it's quite a message.
It definitely paints like they thought Wizards had just gotten over the whole open gaming license problem they had with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, they
were starting to curry favor again because the movie was really good and they'd made all the right decisions about, redacting not redacting, but pulling back on the OGL stuff. But it's like, but they lost. I mean, like, even still, they're still feeling the repercussions from this because during the week, Critical Role announced that they're bringing out two of their own gaming systems that are going to circumvent D&D, and that's going to take a large chunk of people that are like found D&D because of Critical Role, and they're just going to follow
because of Critical Role,
yeah, and they're going to follow that. Like, I mean, there's a multitude of different gaming types out there.
They frightened everybody with that nonsense, with that finger wagging.
Yeah.
I just as you were saying, the movie was really good. The movie was excellent, but I heard that it is once a podcast becomes I read I heard that it's down 100 million.
No,
even though it was a box office smash.
I don't think it's down 100 million. I think it's doing well, but it's not doing as well as they.
But it did spend a lot. It spent a lot on merchandising, so hope on advertisement. So, Oh my god, how can she not spell dungeons, lads? It's rough. It's because we're always writing D&D.
That's true, actually. That's very, very true.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of weird.
It made 95 worldwide. It made 178 million. How was that not breaking?
I don't know. See that I was really weird. I always look up numbers of old movies. So, and this will lead into a topic I want to cover actually. But I always look up box office of older films, like how much older films cost and how much they make, and yet they are considered to be hugely successful. So
good.
But nowadays, if those movies had made that much money, they would be considered a flop. But here's the thing you have to remember as well. In Hollywood, and I could be completely off base on this, but I think I heard this on one of Kevin Smith's multitude of podcasts at the time back in the day. Even when a film doesn't make a ridiculous amount of money, everyone involved makes money because there is a level of insurance that the studios always have.
Oh, that's good.
In films. Okay. But the studio still makes their money back. The studio don't lose anything. All this talk of like it's marketing is what kills a film, because either it's over marketed and it doesn't go anywhere, and they've spent all their budget on marketing, or spent all the market budgeting, and it's cost millions and millions to market a film and it doesn't go anywhere and it dies in its arse. That's a huge deficit. But if a film is like the D&D film, people knew about it for the longest time.
Yeah.
And like the D&D is such a big thing that I think a lot of the fan base were like, I couldn't be arsed, or the other half of the fan base like, I really want to see this. And yeah, we were there opening weekend, but I've spoken to people that don't even play D&D and they want to see this movie.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of them. I'll eventually get to it. Like, Irene really wants to see it, but we haven't gone to see it yet, but we will. We'll go see it in the next week or so.
Yeah, Patrick wants Andrew to see it, so I think he's going to try and get us to go again, which would be 3 times for me.
Ooh.
But
then you'll see it now in the next 2 months. You'll see it'll be on streaming services, or it'll be available to buy in the States at least on streaming services, and then it'll hit our shores on the streams.
I want a Jonathan spin-off.
Yeah, big time. But
that was a joke, but it wasn't enough of a joke.
Like, what I mean? Compared to previous D&D films, this film was a success, and I think a sequel definitely will come down the pipeline at some stage. There's a multitude of actually, speaking of which, there's a multitude of offshoot merchandise, like stuff that was an offshoot from that type of stuff was huge. Like in America alone, you had the popcorn.
Bucket.
Which were huge. Yeah. There was also the prequel comic.
Ooh.
Honor Amongst Thieves, The Feast of the Moon.
That looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice. Let me see now. I only picked this up today. Written by Jeremy Lambert, pencils by Eduardo Ferrigato, inks by Paul Santos, colors by Patricio Del Pesce, and it's like there's two stories in here. So the first one is The Feast of the Moon. The second one is Zenk and the Helmet of Disjunction, written by Ellen Boner, Boenor, art by Guillermo Sana, and colors by Mattia Icano. But these are really nice looking books, and it's you'll want this. So the second story in this,
Paladin.
It's about the Paladin.
Yeah. Hey! If you took if I was any good at video editing, I'd get oh my god, Kim, Jean-René Page in Bridgerton saying, "I burn for you," and I just edit it so 4 is gone, and I just Lil Kriya in Sorcery and Shenanigans. I burn you.
Well, Lil Kriya is not in Sorcery and Shenanigans.
Oh yeah, fuck's sake.
That's a different game. Yeah. So this is
have you noticed how often Jill tends to drench everyone in hellfire? Her characters.
Well, I think that's she knows her. She has a wheelhouse just like I do.
Yeah, she started out her first campaign, no magic, and ever since she's just been torching people left and right.
Yeah, it is what it is. Once you get a taste of that magic,
That's it.
So talking of looking at older films and looking at their box office and looking at what's a success and what's considered a success. Irene turned to me the other night. We were sitting there watching. I don't know what we were watching, but she says she was looking at this list that somebody sent to her of all of the films of the 80s that you have to have seen. and I had seen
like a must-see list.
must-see list from the 80s, and I'd seen all of them, obviously. So
Yeah,
I
me
had
too,
seen
probably.
every single one of them, but Irene hadn't seen about 4 of them, right?
Right.
2 of the ones that she hadn't seen was Pretty in Pink and
Mhm.
16 Candles, right?
Yeah.
So we were like, let's do it. Let's get a bottle of wine or 2 bottles of wine, and I'll get them. I think I have Pretty in Pink on DVD, and 16 Candles I think is on the streaming service, so we'll go find that. So we watched Pretty in Pink, and she was like, yeah, that wasn't bad. It was a good film. It was like, and then you have to remember, this is the precursor for every teen angst young girl prom dress. Yeah?
Sorry. Irene thought it was... Ooh, I would have thought Irene would have had strong feelings about Blaine and oh god damn it, what's fucking Spader just mops that film up. What's his character called? He's some douche canoe. He's Blaine. No, McCarthy is Blaine.
Yeah, you're talking about
Spader's character.
Not Spader. It's not Spader. It's I knew his name the other night.
James Spader.
No,
James Spader as the
Oh yes. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
James
In
Spader,
Pretty in Pink. Sorry,
yes,
Pretty
in
in
Pink.
Yeah.
James Spader plays the douche.
He does, and
plays the
holy
douche.
shit,
He does.
he's so good in that.
He is. He's very
so
good. He's very good.
The idea, like, so you obviously know this, but originally Ducky got the girl.
Yeah.
After hanging around her house,
but hang on
like
a second.
fucking weirdo, and then test audiences fucking hated that, and they changed it. And if she'd ended up with Ducky when he behaved like such a psychopath, I wouldn't have the fondness for that movie that I do. But
Ducky does all right in the end. He gets Kristen Stewart.
He does. They really threw a woman at him in sympathy, but I quite like. He could have learned a lot from Janine from Ghostbusters. I feel like.
Oh
my
Annie
God,
Potts.
she's so beautiful.
I was sitting there going,
when she's in all her gear and her hair spiked, I'd say you had
what is it? Here's the thing, right?
that.
I said this when we were watching the film. It says John Hughes has a problem. John Hughes has a major problem with taking really attractive, alternative-looking women and
washing their face,
completely making them look like moms by the end of it.
It's
and
terrible.
It's like, what are you doing? Like, he did it with Ali Sheedy, and then he did it with Annie Potts.
The khaki-fication of everybody.
It's just unreal.
But look, if you, I mean, you've obviously seen Paris is Burning as well.
Yeah.
All everybody wants to do in the 80s is look rich.
Yeah.
And my heart for Andy, my heart when she's like, don't pick me up at my house, don't drop me off at my house.
Yes.
I've been there. I've been in situations where I've been disguising elements of my existence, and it's not nice, and it's not necessary. Be a brokey. Don't listen to the top G's. Be a brokey. Brokies are sexy. Brokies have that energy that you just can't get from anyway. But yeah, Andy's gonna change Andrew McCarthy's life in that film. But yes, there's 16 Candles then, Wayne. So how did that hold up?
Well, here's the thing. So I remember parts of 16 Candles. Pretty in Pink was fine, but I had to say to Irene, look, this is the template that every, she's all that and 10 things I hate about you. It literally, the Taming of the Shrew template that came after the fact. Pretty in Pink was kind of like the first one that did that.
Probably the Taming of the Shrew was the first one.
But I mean from the standpoint of movies, not Shakespearean plays. One's like took for Taming of the Shrew and was like, let's make a teen film out of this. But look, Shakespeare was the John Hughes of his time. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
So, like Merchant of Venice was literally just Breakfast Club. That was all it was.
Yeah.
Clearly. But 16 Candles.
Home Alone is Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Yeah.
12th Night is Baby's Day Out. Okay, I've stopped. I'm finished.
So
Joey Pants could get it in that movie, by the way.
Oh, Jesus.
Baby's Day Out.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. So yes, 16 Candles.
16 Candles. I hadn't seen 16 Candles in a very, very long time. Like, I mean, you're talking maybe not early, maybe late 90s. The 90s was the last
the
time
90s.
I sat down and was like, you know what? I really want to watch 16 Candles. And I remembered parts of it, and then
And you've blocked out
I
parts of it, haven't
full
you?
on blocked out parts of it, and I think so has Molly Ringwald. But we threw it on, and it starts off innocently enough, very Home Alone-y at the start of it. Got a Home Alone vibe to it, with this, middle class family of white people, and there's like the middle child who gets forgotten about, while there's more important shit with the rest of the family going on, and then there's that one douchey little brother. Very similar vibes to Home Alone, and
Very.
parents that are like, "Oh, we love you, but we forget about you all the time." Then the Chinese exchange student turns up. Long Duck Dong. And every time somebody says his name, a cymbal crashes in the distance.
Yeah, a gong goes off.
Yeah. And Irene was sitting there, and she's just like, what the fuck?
It was a bit jarring, was it?
It was jarring. Jesus Christ. And it was like, no, this is a bit out of left field. What's going on here? And I was sitting there going, oh.
That's the same level of atrocious stereotyping that they were doing in MASH, the film. And what year was that? Like 1976?
Yeah.
Like that, like the terror, like the unlikely, mind you, Cho Chang exists, so let's just not congratulate ourselves on fixing that problem. But the name is wrong, and the treatment is, who was no one at any of those meetings?
See, that's the thing, and it's kind of I you know what I call it? I call it breakfast at Tiffany syndrome.
Yeah,
Because that film had it in spades.
Yeah.
Like with Mickey Rourke as the Chinaman. But,
Mickey Rooney.
Mickey
I'd
Rooney.
love to see Mickey Rourke.
Oh, Mickey Rooney. Oh my God, Mickey Rourke.
Oh my God, give me Mickey Rourke as a Chinese man. Oh wait, no, please
But
don't.
I mean, I can't. I mean, here's the thing: as a Hammer horror movie fan, I can't even. They even did it with those films. Fu Manchu was played by Christopher Lee with like eyelid shades on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, like there was
I
all
mean,
this craziness. Like John Wayne played fucking
Oh,
Genghis
yeah.
Khan. You know, I mean, Hollywood is riddled with this weirdness, but this was in the 80s, and you know what I
There
want?
was nobody. There was nobody in the room
Yeah, maybe
that
I
knew
thought
better.
See, here's the thing, right? I looked up some history of Pretty in Pink, or not Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles. And John Hughes
Yeah.
went from making another movie, and that movie he got kicked off that film, and he was making 16 Candles before that. Then he got offered another film. He got kicked off that film. Says, I'm going to go back to 16 Candles and do that. And
Right.
this is one of the films that put him on the map as a filmmaker. You know, this was Michael C. Hall's, Joan Cusack's. I think it was their debut as the young actors.
Yeah.
And it was like there's a scene in this film, right? The racism is terrible throughout it due to the Asian stereotypes. Because this dude goes from being a Chinese adopted student, something or other, to Japanese at one point because he's wearing
Lovely.
a kimono and a sash, and like he becomes like this sex fiend that finds this very large young girl at the school dance, and the two of them fall in love, and then she just disappears, and he's jumping out of trees on top of people. It's weird. The humor is just so off kilter. It's weird. But there's a moment in the film where, for anyone that hasn't seen 16 Candles, I'm not suggesting you go watch it because it's utter garbage. But there's the whole premise behind it is Molly Ringwald plays this girl. Her parents forget about her birthday, her 16th birthday. She goes to school, and it's like a day before or the day of the big school dance. There's a young kid who's called the Geek. We find out his name. I think his name is Andy, but everyone just calls him the Geek. And he's played by Michael C. Hall.
Right.
And like young Michael C. Hall, who's meant to be, he's the most charismatic geek.
Like 15, yeah.
He's the most charismatic geek in the universe. Like he's the head of this army of geeks, one of which
He's
is
too
John
like
Cusack.
he's slight of frame, but I'm sorry, he's so charismatic. You're right.
Yeah. So
That it doesn't work.
and he convinces Molly Ringwald's character to give him her panties, right? And then there's a scene where he is in the boys' toilets, and all the nerds are all lined up, and they all pay $1 and he stands. It comes out of the cubicle with the panties and hoists them in the air like fucking Simba from the Lion King.
Yeah.
While the kids are all paid $1 just to see these girls' panties.
That's $70 for so 70 kids.
Irene is just rocked into the room. But so that's one of the scenes. It then transpires that he obviously wants to try and sleep with her, but you know, she's older than him and she's like, get the fuck off me. He tries to,
Also, in real life, weren't they like 15 and 16?
something like that, yeah.
Like she was legitimately very young.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those two are the reason now that, you know, the Riverdale cast are 42. Do you know what I mean?
More than likely, yeah. And
Yeah.
which Molly Ringwald actually stars in as well, by the way. He's in Riverdale.
In
Yeah. So they have a fuck ton of throwbacks. That show, like, for all the shitty writing in that show, it does know what it's doing to a degree.
Right.
But
yeah.
There is a scene then later on in the film where there's a big party after the dance and all the kids end up going back to it. And it's got the titular hero or stud of the film, who's this monosyllabic, like the dude doesn't have a line until like an hour into the movie or something. This dude who is the object of Molly Ringwald's affections.
Right.
And he's this like beefcake looking dude. He looks like a young Matt Dillon afterbirth. That's what he looks like, right? And he is having a party at his house, and everyone goes there. And his girlfriend is there. This guy's girlfriend is there. She's hammered off her tits. She ends up sleeping it off in his bedroom.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where he's talking to, but he fancies Molly Ringwald for some reason, and he's talking to Michael C. Hall's character, the geek, saying, "Look, my girl is in my bedroom, passed out. I could go violate her 10 different ways if I wanted to."
Yeah.
That's an actual line in the film.
Yeah.
And me and Aaron just stopped when he said this, and we're like, "What the?"
Wayne, 80s movies are so rapey. I swear to God.
It's unbelievably rapey. I couldn't get over. Like I was like, I've loved John Hughes movies for forever.
Yeah. No, they don't. As a woman, they don't hold up at all.
No.
And we have I have a real graw for Pretty in Pink, like really, and The Breakfast Club.
Breakfast, yeah.
But he upskirts Molly Ringwald in that movie too, and she was like 16 years of age in Breakfast Club. And Molly Ringwald wrote an article for the New York Times, I think about 5 years ago, saying my daughter wanted to see my movies, and so we sat down and watched some of them, and I was like, she had also forgotten.
Yeah.
And she was explaining to her daughter why what they were doing wasn't right while she was on the screen. Like,
it's insane. It's absolutely mental. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, you'd like to think that the world has moved on from that shit, but
yeah, because we're horrified, and
Yeah.
we watched them and we weren't.
Well, that's true. Like like I said, it's
If
been a
you're-
while since I've definitely seen 16 Candles, but I've watched Weird Science since a long time ago, and I've watched it recently.
Yeah.
And like,
Michael C. I keep calling him Michael C. Hall. It's Anthony Michael Hall. Isn't
Anthony,
it? No.
Michael C. Hall.
Am I
is
doing
from
it the other way around?
No,
Is
you're
Dexter?
right.
Yes. Yeah.
Michael C. Hall is
So-
Dexter. Anthony Michael Hall is who you're talking.
Hey,
You're correct.
I've got you beat. Ducky's character is an actor with 3 names,
John-
and Andy's dad in Pretty in Pink is an actor with 3 names. 2 very different ages of men, and I managed to refer to them the other way around in company when I was trying to impress Andrew's friends early in our relationship. How could you mix those people up? And actually, I'm going to do it again, so I'm not going to name either of the actors.
Well,
but
I know one. I know who plays Ducky.
the one from and then who was in all those Jim Jarmusch movies?
Iggy Pop. I don't know.
No. The amazing actor that's Andy's dad who won't go and get a fucking
Oh,
job.
Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean Stanton. So Harry Dean Stanton and John Cryer.
Cryer.
No, he doesn't even have 3 names.
No, I was wondering where you were going with that because
I'm
he only has
such
2
a
names.
lunatic. Yeah, I was referring to John Cryer as Harry Dean Stanton to somebody because I was having some sort of episode, obviously. And
Sorry, I'm just picturing I'm just picturing Alien with John Cryer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
He was too nice to correct me.
Yeah.
But
I've been in those situations.
even Ducky's fucking behavior of just following her around.
Ducky's
like
a psychopath.
Sex pest.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, and he's the hero. He
Is
was
he?
the hero. He got the girl in the end. But it's like anything else, Wayne. It's like we were talking about whenever kind of you get a you can see where the director's heart is in the way these things are treated, and you can see which characters he's relating to, and obviously he's going to want them to prevail. But yeah, John Hughes was an auteur for sure, but there's plenty that.
Well, I mean, it gets worse than 16 Candles because there's a like your man says, what he does is he says to the geek, "You take my girlfriend in my fancy Rolls Royce and drive off with her, and I'm going to convince her that you're me because she's off her face.
Oh yeah.
And you're going to take her and do what you want with her, and I'm going to go get Wally Ringwald because she's going to be at her sister's wedding tomorrow." And that's meant to be the hero of the fucking film.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there going, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "How did I not twig this at an earlier age?" But it's.
But Wayne, you couldn't because it was the norm.
It's just crazy.
It was like, yeah, there's so many there's so many things that as a woman you watch with a and good on society for it being so shitty now. Well, I mean, so yeah, having actual Asian people playing actual Asian people with actual the right nationality of name is a step up. So that was good. And people complain about kind of forced diversity and stuff like that, but having people play their not having Mickey Rooney playing
or Mickey Rourke, any of the Mickeys,
or Mickey Rourke.
No Mickey's playing any Asian.
Mickey Rourke's filler is such that he does look like he has epicanthal folds.
Yeah.
So maybe he's doing the Ollie London Korean look himself. Maybe
this is what he's going for. Maybe he's pissed off he didn't get that role. But like, there's a bit at the end of that film after the girlfriend that is sent off with the geek wakes up and tells the geek, "Actually, no, I'm into this. It's all good. I really thought it was great."
Yeah, of course.
And it's like,
yeah, Wayne. People were doing that on Big Bang Theory.
Well, fuck the Big Bang Theory. Fuck the Big Bang Theory.
But there's still terrible media.
Yeah. It's bad. It's and like I read, I kind of was like, this has to have been commented on at some point, and I was like, I was baffled by like.
Wayne, there'd be moments in Rick and Morty where you're like, what are you guys trying to say?
Yeah, no, that's true. And I mean, like, Rick and Morty definitely has like, I've watched Rick and Morty and I've enjoyed Rick and Morty, and I do like, I enjoy that show, but there are moments kind of going,
who's that for? I think it's like, those videos where somebody's just cracking eggs directly onto their counter and spreading them out and then covering them with 4 tons of cheese, just like pretending to make a cooking video, but it's actually some sort of like kink material, like a woman touching eggs, or someone rolling pizza with their arse or something, and it's kink shit, but it's just
you'll probably get away with that on Twitch. You won't be able to drink while you do it, but you could definitely
no, that's it. But yeah, you're like, there are these moments, especially in Rick and Morty, where like, are you just trying to like Winter Soldier your audience, just triggering these kind of incest likers and things, or like awakening parts. Thanks, Brody. Look, I'm not saying I've fallen from grace, but this light Corona is the fucking business.
Is there actually a thing called light Corona? Isn't Corona just
it's
light?
Corona
anyway?
Ligero, and it's only 3.4, and it's tasty as fuck. And like, I only like 2 kinds of beer, really. Just dense IPA or this pretty little thing, and it's just it's a Wednesday.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Taking it easy, we're kicking back. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I've drank half a bottle of wine so far. I'll see how I get on. But yeah, so I think the whole point of this conversation is me just shocked that, one, I didn't register that film at a much younger age as being problematic.
But this is the problem, Wayne. When we watch it young, it sets a precedent.
Sure.
And it's only when we learn real life lessons that we're like, oh shit, otherwise this is why media is amazing and also dangerous.
Yeah.
It sets these little norms for you, in situations that you haven't been in yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like I fucking love the movie MASH by Brian De Palma, but Jesus Christ, you would have to just sit there with a pair of scissors, just cutting 10-minute, 15-minute chunks out of it. It's like, oh my God, so much of it is
Now,
absolutely hateful.
So
but
here's
I
the
love
question
it.
then. Is it a case of we just understand that it's from a certain era of time where this
No, it's from a certain person.
Yeah.
Like it's whoever was in charge of the project. And the problem is, if you're sitting around in a room of 14 white Harvard graduates, the fuck do they know about anything? So what's happening is other people now work in the industry and they're going, can we not? And that's good. But I agree with, you'd never take a scissors to it. What you would do is what was it, Warner Brothers? Whenever Disney should do this, but I think it's Warner Brothers
Disney
doing
do it.
it.
Are you talking about
Disney do it, yeah. They
disclaimers in
say
front of the
this
thing?
is of its time.
Yeah,
this
like
was okay
if you go
at
to
the
watch
time.
Song of the South, they kind of go, hang on.
Exactly. But there's people turning around and talking about like 2000s, early and 2010s YouTubers being psychopaths, and in the name of being edgy. And we all know I was an edgy. Oh, was I edgy? Oh Christ. Yeah. Oh, so you thought I was wearisome now. Oh, imagine me edgy. And I'm sorry, we all were. It was the style at the time. But there was being edgy and calling everybody the R word. But then there was still people doing shit where even at the time you're like, well, that's not okay.
Yeah.
why are you in blackface? Do you have to be wearing that makeup?
Have I ever told you the story of when I saw blackface on Halloween and it nearly led to somebody getting murdered?
In where?
In Dublin city centre at Halloween.
Right.
So myself and a good buddy of mine. Yeah.
Before we start,
yeah.
for our international visitors,
yeah.
Ireland has no history with racial slavery. So we are sometimes, Stuart Lee described Ireland as a white supremacist theme park. We have now, and we always have had, Black Irish people, and they're just considered Irish. Everyone who lives here is Irish. But we can be a little bit oblivious to how this looks to people from places that did have hard racial discrimination for a long time in their country. Go on ahead.
Well, we had not to get the history nerd hat out and put it on because it's literally just resting right here beside me. But
right,
we obviously as Irish people have had ridiculous amount of discrimination against ourselves as a race.
Oh yeah.
Throughout history.
Yeah. But we'd have to talk to trigger it. People couldn't be biased against us from a distance.
From a distance. Yeah.
Whereas, that's one thing we'll never understand.
Yeah, but, we could blend in the crowd, but as soon as we open our mouths, we're fucked. But, so, good few years ago now, well over a decade, coming out of the IFI, which is the Irish Film Institute in Temple Bar, it's where the Horrorthon was every Halloween. Myself, my good buddy Darren, and Darren's girlfriend at the time, now his wife, and his sister were leaving the place after a late screening. And it was Halloween, as I've said, so it's literally, I think it was actually Halloween weekend leading into Halloween night. So there's plenty of costume parties going on around town. And right across from the IFI, I don't know if it's there now, but there was a club. And that club was having an R&B dance night Halloween themed party. And there was a large congregation of young black people at this shenanigans, at this shindig, right? They're all in costume, all having a great time, all congregating outside. We walk about, and that road in Temple Bar is on its side slope, so you walk down into Temple Bar, which is kind of down a bit. We were walking down the cobblestones, and we see coming out of the Temple Bar pub this young lad dressed up, full blackface, as Mr. T. Oblivious to his surroundings, walking straight for this large group of young black people who are having a great time. But As soon as he got closer to them, we knew something was going to happen. So me instinctively, I went, "Oh, I better stop this lad and tell him to fuck off and
stop
turn around."
this lad from.
But my buddy Darren puts
insulting
his
you.
hands out and goes, "Oh, hang on, let's just see what happens." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And we stood back. We stood still and kind of leaned against the railings to see and watch the scene unfold. As this lad was like just walking, half cut, walking up this hill towards this large group in full costume, the mohawk, the works, everything, dungareens, gold chains.
Was it a ball cap with
ball
the thing
cap
on it,
with the
Wayne?
ball cap with that, and you could see like he'd only painted up.
Yeah,
So you could see that
excellent.
there was a white line, just like
Oh,
where
yeah.
the shoe polish or wherever the fuck he was using didn't meet, and then he had the ball cap on, and he was walking up, and I look, and I just noticed that just on the edge of the large group of young folk, they start to notice him coming in their general direction, and there's a couple of nudges and elbows, and this lad looks up and locks eyes with the outermost edge of the group, and this look of realization comes across his face, and he just turns on his heel and just slowly but surely at first, and then just pegs it in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
While me, Darren, and everyone else are just in fucking tatters on the
We
ground.
did not think he would meet
Yeah,
a black person.
we
that
were
night.
laughing our holes off. It was one of the funniest things we've ever seen. And a couple of the folks on the edge that had seen him saw us, and they just started chuckling as well. They just thought this was hilarious. But this poor bastard just turned on his heel and fucking. It was probably, I reckon,
Lesson
his
learned.
trousers
Lesson
were
learned,
brown
yeah.
after that, because he just fucking ran. It was hilarious.
Wayne, I hate to say, but I've also got my story isn't funny, but it's very Irish.
Okay,
So
which might
I
be
was
funny
in-
in its own right.
I was in Virginia, County Cavan, and I was Shinobi was with me. We were down at the Pumpkin Festival,
As you do.
which was a thing, as you do. And there was a big disco and a giant, like in the farmer's hall, like it was huge. And there was a prize of like $1,000 for the best costume. I can't remember what Shinobi was dressed as, but I was dressed as Fame era Lady Gaga.
Okay.
So I'm in a leotard. I've got these like I made the shades. I hand tinted, dip dyed the shades to be just weird.
Like, folks, you have to understand, when Kim goes all in on costume construction, Kim goes all the fuck in.
So I had the long blonde plait and the giant visor and a leotard and the boots. It's the easiest Gaga is Fame era Gaga, like beginning. Gaga
Okay.
begins, basically.
Gaga
So-
begins.
Gaga begins. So I'm there having the time of my life, and then I see this guy in full blackface, and it was totally unnecessary. And he's wearing a suit, and I've no fucking idea.
Why,
what
was
he's
he like a
supposed to
blackface
be.
Chucky or something?
Well,
Was it
here's the
how
thing.
necessary was it? Like,
You knew who that person was supposed to be. And if he didn't dye his face black, he still could have been Mr. T. He just needed the jewelry,
Mr.
just
T,
need the
okay.
shorts and the, you know.
sure, yeah.
So he does need booty shorts, though. I won't be having the combat.
You don't go for
Pants.
dungareens?
No,
You don't go for
no,
dungareens,
he's gotta
Mr.
have
T?
his booty shorts.
Booty
No.
shorts. Booty
Yeah,
shorts,
booty
Mr.
shorts,
T.
yeah.
Wow,
So anyway.
okay. That's extreme.
So yeah. So I see this lad, and he's in a suit, full black, full like fucking like mommy, like that level.
He went
And-
he did Al Jolson.
No. So he's walking past me, and I went, "Excuse me," because you know what a fucking dose
I
I
just
am.
have Lady Gaga doing this. So
Right. It's Lady Gaga, right? Going, what is this? What is this? And he goes, "I am a dapper guy." I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?" And then he walked back. He was like, "Ugh." And then he went back to his mates, and I realized they were a group costume. Do you remember the Guinness ad? Filmed it with in the dance clubs, the dance halls of the Congo, where there were just like really fucking well-dressed actual African men dancing and being like really cool.
Yes.
So they were wearing like purple suits and ruffles, and they were just done up to the nines. Him and his friends dressed as these guys. And the suits were amazing, but holy shit.
That's a weird choice for a bunch of white dudes in Virginia County Cavan.
In Virginia County Cavan. So
Could they not have gone with the samurai guys from the Murphy's adverts or something?
Right. So I registered in my disgust when he was on his way down. And I looked down, I'm like, oh, I know what they're supposed to be, but for fuck's sake. So I was not having it, but I left them alone then, right? I just needed to have it said as totally unnecessary. Because, there's no white people to dress up as. There's just no white characters in anything,
it's
I've
terrible.
noticed.
Like, it's
Anyway, so the next day, I'm doing a bit of visiting because I'm down obviously in Cavan because I was living in Dublin at the time. So I was down in Cavan and I was doing a bit of visiting, went to the cousin's house. And my second cousin Mary goes, oh, Liam saw you out last night. Yeah, it was my cousin, Wayne, that I was yelling at.
Did he know it was you?
Yes! So how come I couldn't recognize him covered in boot polish, but he recognized me as Gaga?
In fairness, though, Kim, right? That could be you at any given weekend sometimes. So, but you not seeing your cousin in blackface, that kind of gives that's the last thing you expect.
But
really.
How's that? Yeah, but how's that? Okay,
it's not okay.
He had the element of surprise, and I did not. Is what you're saying? Right.
There's definite surprise there.
Okay.
There's definitely an element of something and a partial surprise. But
oh my
dear
God.
Lord.
What? How's that fair? He knew who I was, but why did he not go? Why didn't he not say, Kim, it's me? And then I could have given out to him a bit in a more tailored way.
He probably could have pulled the race card and said, you probably just think we all look the same.
But anyway, he's a very, very intelligent and enlightened human, and I was very disappointed in him. But he would have been 16 at the time.
Yeah,
obviously, because he's in a pub in Virginia County Cavan. Yeah.
This rolls back into our old thing of of a certain age, certain things, but it's like you're looking at certain things a certain way through a certain set of lenses in your brain, where you watch something and you think that must be the norm. Do you think culture as a whole, and this as a dude who would be I had my dudish moments growing up. I'm less of that dudish person now because I think I've grown as an individual. But
I think you're the absolute epitome of non-toxic masculinity. Your voice is deep, your muscles are big, you're hairy, and you're sweet and thoughtful.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I don't know who said this, but it's like everyone has done horrible shit and toxic stuff in their lifetime. But the fact that you look back on it now and realize that it was toxic and was wrong,
I guarantee you I was worse than you. Absolute flat out guarantee I was worse than you. Yeah. But
you realize that those things were wrong. You did things in your past. You've grown as an individual because you realize that they are wrong things to have done. So the thing about it is that and here's the thing. Remember I talked about me looking for an article or somebody saying there has to be conversations about how bad this film is. I found an article from Australia about the correlation between, this is so wacky, the correlation between 16 Candles and the Brett Kavanaugh hearing in front of Congress.
Yeah. It was a house party and he just decided that she was a bit drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was at a party, Wayne, where things went very south. And a person at the party said to me about the person that was hosting his party, oh my God, he couldn't believe his luck that somebody so drunk had shown up. And this man at the time was 19. And he was like, we just need someone drunk enough.
Wow.
And it's all these, we didn't have that. We don't have fraternities.
No. That's, if anyone,
so
anyone listens from the States or anything like that or anywhere that we don't have that.
All that comes from media. The idea that you can have a giant party, everyone gets wasted, and you just ride anyone you want is imported here.
What's the movie with James Van Der Beek? He pays
Varsity Blues.
No, the one where he plays Patrick Bateman's younger brother.
Fucking, is it the other Bret Easton Ellis book?
It could be, because I mean they're related. He rings him up
Less
in
Than Zero, is it?
something like that, where you're one whose name is, oh, what's her name? She was in Knight's Tale and a few other bits and bobs. She kind of, but there's a horrible scene in it where she is raped by frat guys, and it's like, it's that mentality. It shows that mentality, and the kind of the breakdown of that mentality, and the kind of how that's what American college tends to be. It's kind of like the darker ends of that scale.
Yeah,
but
I
like,
think they're too young. They don't drink before they go to college. And if you go to college in the States, you're probably rich. And the other thing is, I think they have their own flavor of misogyny over there, because when I'm, most of the Americans I'm talking to, if it's not in movie groups, it's parents, it's moms.
yeah.
And by all accounts, the men do fuck all. And you know, an Irish mammy loves to spoil her son and leave him no good for life.
Don't become Irish mammies and their sons.
Yeah, but they want their free time. They want to rest. They want sex when they want sex, but they don't want to pick up socks off the floor. And I can't believe how many of them are like that in the groups, and the women are just doing everything they fucking can. They're like, I can't look at this man. I can't believe how useless he is in this house. And I don't like. I think Ireland is one of the most patriarchal places. Like in a lot of the houses here, men would get the dinner first. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Like, oh well, maybe it's farming, because they would be coming in from fucking fields sweating. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Maybe. But yeah, like in the countryside, like it's very, like the men get preference. They did.
Sure.
But you know, they were out breaking their backs, most of them. Well, actually, no. Houses I've seen where the father does nothing but sit in the pub all day, he'd still get his dinner first. So I would have thought we would be kind of worse. But I feel like the young fathers in this country have a better idea what's going on. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just the ones I know.
Yeah.
But
Well, look,
yeah, what happens, Wayne, in your life is you meet people.
yeah,
You meet people.
That's it.
You meet people. And if everyone, like, you know, why do I understand MBs? Because I know a few. You know, there's nothing like actually meeting someone to make you look at another portrayal of somebody like that and go, well, that's wrong. You know.
Very true. Very true.
But
we better get on to some dick and fart jokes first, quickly, because
we better. Yeah.
Because
God, that got really.
it got real. It got real.
Well, that was me in the 2000s. I was a dick and fart joke.
Oh. I don't know. Like, I mean, again, this seems to be about everything that I've watched over the last while. I don't know if there's anything that you've gotten down with or done stuff over the last while that's extremely nerdy and we want to talk about. But there is a lot of stuff that I have watched recently that is kind of in the sphere of things. Like, I've Picard season 3 finished up, and it was the original cast of the Next Generation.
People seemed really happy about that.
Well, I was really happy for the most part.
Right.
For the most part. I do have problems with the season and how it ended overall, and how the last 2 episodes were kind of just like, you know, let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. But for anyone that doesn't watch Star Trek, sorry for you. I do. I love Star Trek. Always have. And and it's a case of, I think Star Trek of old has been missing, like Star Trek as a format and as a storytelling platform. I think it was off the screens far too long. I in my brain, I draw a correlation between Star Trek and the collapse of society for the last like 20 years in my brain, since Star Trek went off the air in the late 90s into the early 2000s, and we
can't have nice things.
We can't have nice things because I grew up in my household. When I came home every day, I had my dinner and I watched Star Trek on Sky. Star Trek Next Generation was on. Then we got DS9. Then we got Voyager, and we were spoiled for choice because we had a lot of Trek, and it became this thing. And it it peaked and then it started to fade off and people got too, it's like everything. It's like Marvel are going through it at the moment where people are just sick and tired of superhero films, and DC are still trying to claw their way in. And with Trek, for me, there's a level with me as a growing up. I use that as a yardstick of morality for a lot of things, because it taught me the rights and wrongs of a lot of stuff. It dealt with a lot of social issues. Like, they were dealing with trans issues in Star Trek in the 90s.
Yes. And the characters were showing themselves. The characters were shown to be wrong. Our heroes were shown to be getting things wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's that classic, now infamously memed consistently, not so much memed, but that screen cap of Picard saying you can do everything right and still fail. Like, that's used all the time for a lot of stuff on the internet. You see that all the time on the internet. And I think that's a major problem, because a lot of the generation of our generation growing up, if for anyone that was a Star Trek fan, you had that kind of constant input every single day of your life. If you lived in the UK, you lived in Ireland, because it was syndicated and we saw it every single day of the week. If you had Sky, it was on TV consistently. And now we were given a chance to see that crew back. And Terry Malthus, the showrunner, did a fantastic job of putting all the pieces together. I felt he didn't stick the landing very well.
Right.
So this season of Picard starts out where there's a mysterious situation where Beverly Crusher is costed by
herself.
Like Elle Gates McFadden, and a signal goes to Patrick Stewart, and he starts to get the crew back together consistently over. Like, and they don't do it all in one fell swoop. Over a couple of episodes, they start to piece all the crew back together, and there's a reason for them all being there for the most part, and there's a reason why certain characters turn up at certain points. And Picard finds out that he has an actual son with Beverly, and he's now a fully grown individual in his mid-20s.
Oh my god!
And he's like a good mixture between that whole kind of fly by the seat of your pants Han Solo-ish type character and level of intelligence that Picard would have. He's at that balance,
right?
And he becomes the MacGuffin of the story, because it turns out that he has a certain kind of trait to him that the big bad wants, and so on and so forth. And there is a kind of a proxy big bad played by Amanda Plummer, who who is Star Trek alum because of her father, Christopher Plummer, who played General Kang in Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, and she emulates him partially in some of her mannerisms in the show.
Oh my god!
Like, there's a bit where she's
wetting yourself.
Yeah, like if you're a Trek fan and you see certain things in the show, you're kind of going, "Oh, that's nice. That was a nice nod. This particular season, compared to the first two seasons of Picard, which were garbage in my mind, this was very much fan servicey all the way through. For if not alone, they just based everything on a ship. Everything is on a starship. It happens they're on a starship and they're doing things on starships rather than, being on Earth or traveling through time and doing all sorts of stuff. You're on a ship and they're doing Trek stuff and the ship is traveling through space. But as the story progresses, and spoilers for anyone that hasn't caught up with it yet, if you don't want to hear spoilers for this, from here on in, fast forward or turn it off or whatever. But the big bad is revealed to be the Borg, who are Picard's nemesis person. No pun on that intended, considering the last Star Trek Next Generation film. But the Borg have been done to death because they were involved in the first and second season already. Or no, first season? See, the first season was so bad, I can't even remember what the fuck bad guy was.
So they put Zod in it again.
Yeah, exactly that. Primarily, the bad guys for the second season were the Borg, including the Borg Queen, played by played by an actress who passed away recently. And I'm gonna do her a disservice, and because I've had a few beers or a few wines, even a few wines, I don't want to Annie Vershing. I don't want to mispronounce her name because she has passed away. Annie Vershing, so WERSCHING. Fantastic actress, has been loads of stuff, including the game The Last of Us. Passed away, and she played the Borg Queen in the second season, and she was great in it as the Borg Queen. I thought she did a great job. But the Borg then come back in season 3, and they turn out to be the big bad. But it's actually the old Borg Queen from Star Trek First Contact and she's like the remnants of what she is. But they're muted. There's no. By the end of it, they're limping to the finish line as bad guys. After all the machinations of the rest of the season, it's a damp squib at the end of it. It really doesn't hit home for me. And there's elements.
Nobody experiences beige.
There's zero beige. Zero beige. No beige. No beige. No beige for you. No beige for you. Complete missed opportunity.
Right. Okay.
So it kind of, I think it fell flat at the end for me because they were just trying to cram in too much nostalgia.
Is it finished now?
It's done now. That's it. Season 3 was the last season. They finished it with as much aplomb as they could try to do it with, and they tried to, like, the showrunner had said, look, I had plans for doing so much more. And like, I read an interview with him, I think it was as the second to last episode dropped, and it was like, look, I had plans for this, this, and this, and this. And I feel if you're a showrunner and you're explaining in an interview, I really wanted to do all of this stuff, but I couldn't. You're kind of making excuses for what you eventually did.
Was it Paramount?
Yeah. It's Paramount. Right. They wouldn't give him the budget to kind of bring more to it. So it kind of felt to me that it was rushed because essentially each episode is an hour long, and he was trying to cram in. Like, he built up so much in the previous 9 episodes, only 10 episodes. In the previous 9 episodes, he built up so much, and what he'd done up to that point, partially, had been fantastic. There's been some great moments in it, and some lovely moments, and some beautiful shots.
We can read the comics to finish the stories for the next 4 years.
And there was a bit of a feeling for that. Like, I felt at the end of it, then they did a few things in the last 2 episodes that I felt was a bit of a misstep. There was a brand new character introduced that was loved by the fans, and while he drew comparisons to a previous character, Captain Sisko from DS9, in partially in some of his story and some of his kind of reasoning for his character, he was played brilliantly, and the fan base loved him, and he was killed off in the second to last episode.
See, this is it. They don't know who the fans are going to fall in love with.
But this guy was prominently out there. He was he was prominent, and he was up there.
Oh, okay. They did know.
I reckon they could have made a guess at it for sure, because he was the only new character in the show, and everyone else, bar Picard's son, everyone else was already there. Well, no, I tell a lie. Sorry, there was 1 or 2 new characters. Geordie LaForge had 2 daughters, and they both played parts, and they were cool.
Was Geordie in it?
Geordie was in it. The whole crew. I was a bit pissed. I was, as an Irishman.
Yeah.
That the most important man in Starfleet history did not make it.
No Miles.
No Miles O'Brien. I think they did a bit of a misstep there on that one. They should have brought him in at some point, but
not even inches O'Brien. Sorry.
That's the name of the episode right there. But yeah, I think that what they tried to do, they aim for this. So to paraphrase Oscar Wilde, they aim for the stars. They slightly missed.
Landed in the gutter.
They slightly missed. they landed in the stratosphere slightly, but
was it worth it?
Was it worth it in the end?
Oh, you had to think about it. You see, then it's a question, because you're like everything doesn't have to be high art. I know that.
That's true.
And I enjoy lots of things that aren't. But if it gave you a kind of a warm feel, if it sparked joy, it was worth it.
Definitely the first half of the season did.
Right.
You know.
And what about, so I kind of checked out of the Mandalorian early part of the second season, because it was a bit.
That's something we can definitely segue chimpanzee and a segue into that, because
sluggish. So what happened there?
Season 3 was like you know when a band releases their 4th album, she's gone.
Yeah, I'm here.
She Kaiser Soze out the fuck. There she is. So, it was kind of like, you know, when the band releases their 4th album and every second track is all right.
All right, yeah.
It was that. Like, it started off well, and then it faltered, and then it came back a bit really good, and then it faltered, and then it came back really good, and then it faltered heavily. As we're getting to the end here, faltered heavily. It wasted Jack Black and Lizzo in an episode. Like, that was the stunt.
Oh, wow.
And Christopher Lloyd. Like,
wow.
They stunted Christopher Lloyd, Jack Black, and Lizzo in one episode. All in the one episode.
Yeah, that's you're kind of taken away from your stunt there.
It was yeah, like when it was really, really good, it was good. But when it was bad, it was fucking terrible. Like really bad.
Wow.
Like yeah, it finished strong. Like the finale was really good. And there's a finality to the finale. Actually, there actually is a finality. It doesn't hang on anything. It doesn't cliffhang on anything.
Right.
There are stuff still to come, but I think they're gonna do a bit more storytelling with Ahsoka. But I think it became the Bo-Katan show way too quickly. Like the Mandalorian did fuck all until the end. He was there. Grogu was there.
Right.
They put Grogu in a mech suit. Put him in a mech suit, yeah. So they hollowed out an IG model of a droid, and he got the pilot like a fucking robot jocks. Like he was giving it all that, and he had a little button that said yes and no.
Oh, the cutest Pacific Rim ever.
Yeah, literally, that was it. He drifted with himself. It was just him, like, you know.
Sorry, can we take a moment just to warn Jill and just get her to look around for kaiju?
I think she's done that. She sailed into Godzilla's mouth in I think it was
okay.
So she was
Okay,
good,
okay.
like, you know.
All right.
So yeah, but I think the Mandalorian was very much hit and miss on this season, very much so. I think they had too much filler. They could have cut that
Right.
season in half, and it would have been much better.
I
Would have
really
been much
enjoyed
more
season one,
condensed.
and I left it there then because I had so much fun with it, and I felt like they were going to start wasting my time.
Well, they kind of, I think what's happening is that they've been asked to do too much in too many shows. Like Filoni
Right.
is fantastic at what he does. Favreau is good at what he does. I think two of them together have put together some great ideas. But overall, they've like Andor surprised the bollocks out of all of us.
You just don't know. You just don't know how people are going to take
Yeah.
to things, and
Yeah.
and I mean they can't have predicted. I mean they obviously put the fucking work into Andor. They
Well,
really
they weren't
did.
involved
But
in Andor. That's the thing.
But no, I meant they, as in
Disney.
Disney. That was lovingly made.
Yeah.
You could smell that they had confidence in what they were doing, and I think you can always sense nervousness. Here's a chimpanzee riding on a Segway for you.
Yeah.
The delightful, beautiful internet's father, Pedro Pascal, who will always be Oberyn Martell in my heart, is on my is a great guest on The Earliest Show. If you haven't watched The Earliest Show on YouTube, watch the 6 episodes, and then with Ben Schwartz and Lauren Lapkus improvising like beautiful music, and then the over an hour in outtakes that there is, because you'll never be the same afterwards. My Comedy Bang Bang book arrived, and it's signed by Scott Aukerman, Paul F. Tompkins, and the beautiful gazelle Lauren Lapkus.
That's awesome.
So she there's a great, Pedro Pascal is having a fucking great time when he's on that. He just seems to be having a great time everywhere he goes.
Yeah, he
just has a great time.
Happy. I think
Yeah.
like part of him is like, yeah, I'm everyone's daddy, and then also part of him is like, how the fuck is this happening?
He was so good in SNL, wasn't he? Did you see him on
I saw.
SNL?
Like,
He's
oh my
so
god.
good. Oh my God.
And then he was on Seth Meyers. He was like, "This is the wah.
That's
This is the
wow.
wah." Speaking of books that came out, so this is kind of, it's not a pimpage for me, but it kind of is at the same time. So I picked up my comics today.
Oh, I think I know what this is. We're so segueing today.
Very
Check
much so.
us out.
Let's go. So this is a new Alien comic that came out today. We're recording today on LV-426 Day. So this is April 26th is Alien Day, right? So LV-426 being the original planet from Aliens. So this is a comic that came out today. It's backwards. I'm gonna hang on. Let me just see if I can remedy this shit.
You can mirror your feed.
Couldn't be arsed to figure it out. Anyway, this is an Alien comic, written by Declan Shalvey, with art from. Let me just read out the hit list. Where's the credits? Sorry. I don't even know if they do. They do. I know where it is. Here we go. So, writer Declan Shalvey, artist Andrea Broccacardo, Trina Farrell is the colorist, and Clayton Cowles is the letter.
Trina Tree, congratulations, Trina Tree, by the way.
Got married. Taboo.
We're big fans. We're big fans of the Institute of Marriage.
So, and a rake of variant covers from the likes of Alex Malev, Shalvey. I have the Shalvey cover. Gabrielle Del Lotto. So this is a new Alien comic that came out today, right? Now, this is Dec's first foray into the Alien universe as a writer, and we chatted about it consistently over the last while, and he very graciously decided that there was an engineering company that was being brought into the Alien universe within this book, and he called it Talbot Engineering, after myself. So my name is now part of the
quality
Alien
friendship
canon. I don't know if you can see this on thing, but here's the book. I'm trying to get. You can see the Talbot Engineering logo on the panels, right? And then she talks about Talbot Engineering and stuff like that. But here's another thing you probably don't know. So yes, I'm named after Talbot Engineering is named after me, but the villain in the story is one Wendell Thien, and that's Wendell Thien right there. Okay, that's in there.
Yeah.
Wendell Thien is based off of our good friend Adam Kelly's Hero Quest character, Wendell Winfred the Third. No, Wendell Winfred, right? The third comes out of the fact that he's a wizard, and Adam plays him like a shotgun wizard, so he rushes into combat and gets killed straight away. So every variation of the new character of Wendell is his descendants coming to get revenge. So I think he's up to Wendell Winfred the Fourth at the moment. But the main villain in the Alien book, and Deck might kill me for saying this, but is based off Adam Kelly's Hero Quest character, Wendell Wilfred, who is a shotgun wizard. And that's who it's based on. That's what he looks like. That's who it is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because both myself and Adam are huge Alien fans and huge fans of the franchise. And it's just a thrill to be in any way name dropped in a book. But to be name dropped in an Alien book, beautiful. But go pick this up. It's available in comic stores. This is the Declan Shalvey variant cover. And it is, I've read it multiple times today. It's a great start. Props to Deck and the team involved. It's a really good start to a new Alien story. Outside of the main Alien kind of idea, and it's a really good idea of what it's done. It's essentially an ice planet, and there's aliens buried in the ice. And the mining company, Talbot Engineering, have sent researchers there, and they uncover some stuff. Yeah, but there's some really nice touches, and it picks up like it really emanates the franchise, and it's really good. Like, so it's I highly recommend.
Well done, Deck.
So yeah, for fair play.
God, wouldn't you be shitting yourself if you were Declan Shalvey's artist?
Yeah, I mean, look,
it must be like being Dave Grohl's drummer.
Did you see? Right, here's another segue for you. Did you see an interview that Dave Grohl did with Pharrell Williams?
No.
Right. So there was an interview. It's all over the Twitterverse or TikTok or whatever the fuck. It's on social media, and it's basically Pharrell saying, "Look, you're a fantastic drummer. You're brilliant." And Dave's like, "Let me tell you, I'm a mediocre drummer. I rip off all of my riffs from different bands throughout the ages. All of my drum beats on Nevermind are rip-offs of disco bands from the 70s. In particular, the Gap band. So that whole that's a disco riff from the Gap band. So that whole in Smells Like Teen Spirit, it's like
that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
So you can find it's up
that.
on the YouTube.
Okay.
But he said there was another artist he ripped off, or not ripped off, but took from.
Yeah.
And he was over at Dave Grohl's house for a barbecue once, and he says, I have to say to you, I owe you a lot. And he's like, I know. I've heard your shit. I heard it. So yeah. So it just goes to show you that the greatest minds in the world are gonna take from what they learn from listening and reading and doing it.
But I love that. I love, to be honest, as teens and 20-year-olds, we are all just our references at that point. You find your core and which parts are truest to you. But
I mean, we're a culture built on that. We are very much a culture built on what's come before us. I mean, Like one of
Yeah.
the biggest things of the
We're
last.
still in the oral tradition. I
Yeah.
certainly was in my 20s. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Oh,
What?
Jesus. I was more studious. I was the oral traditions. Leamok Kurmuk. Quid A.
Screwed fop air.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that joke is gonna land with two people. But I think we are very much, and again that circles back to what we were talking about with John Hughes, because we're a product of what we've consumed, and anyone that creates is a product. It creates from products they've consumed.
See, this is what I find. It's so like creating at all is so brave to me. Anything you're putting out is so brave because you're really exposing yourself to scrutiny, just anything that you produce. And whereas someone like me, I'm like, I love singing, and someone will go, "Oh, are you a good singer?" And I'm like, no, because I've heard Ella Fitzgerald. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would listen to Billie Holiday and go, "Oh, well, what I'm doing is just different talking because that's singing." If you do that with anything, you're never going to produce anything in your life.
100%.
And I'm to a life. What's that line from Strictly Ballroom? A life lived in fear is a life half lived. I have been half living my life for my whole life. And I am just absolutely in awe of creatives.
So when's the debut album out then? But I mean, no, 100%. I get it. Like for the longest time, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to create anything. I didn't want to make anything. I didn't want to show off anything.
And look at you now, bitch.
Like it took somebody going, like multiple people. It actually took multiple people to go.
Multiple people, yeah. And then I would show you something you did 4 years ago, and you'd vomit, and you're like, "Well, this is us as a personality, Wayne." Like artists, like watching artists recoil from this picture that I think is stunning, and they just see the mistakes in it, was a model for my life. I'm like, oh, if you're not horrified by you from 5 years ago, then you're not doing anything worthwhile. You know, you're not. I wonder if John Hughes is horrified.
He's dead, so
I wonder if he got a chance to be horrified before he passed.
Probably killed him. But like, I mean, I think he did grow as a filmmaker. I think like he moved past that. Either he got it out of his system.
He made Baby's Day Out. Sorry.
But look, there's somebody somewhere going, you know what? I love Baby's Day Out, and that's all right.
I reckon Fred Fletch is gonna make a week's worth of Baby's Day Out memes. And it's gonna be Judd Nelson and Joey Pants up the wazoo, and I'm here for it.
I think you'd like Joey Pants and fucking Judd Nelson up the wazoo.
Do you remember? Oh, what's her name from Lara Flynn Boyle is in Baby's Day Out? An absolute fucking smoke show. She's playing the man.
What?
And she's absolutely
how does a film with that level of
beautiful.
talent? How does that film of level of talent?
And they're like, and they're rich fucks. Like the parents, the baby is like minted.
Is this like a prequel to Home Alone or something?
Maybe, but now, am I getting the right? Am I going to do this again? Yeah, Lara Flynn Boyle is the star of Twin Peaks. Don't say that.
One of them.
One of the ensemble
She's
cast.
the recluse star. She became a recluse after that show. She kind of shut down her personal life. Nobody could
That's her. Yeah, because I'm gonna mix her up with the one who plays Amanda Palmer.
Cheryl Fenn, and then
Cheryl Fenn. Yeah. Lara Flynn Boyle, Cheryl Fenn. Yeah, I did the switcheroo.
Look, we did it earlier on with Anthony Michael Hall and Michael C. Hall. You know.
Yeah.
There's probably people shouting at their podcasting device or at YouTube going, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Now, we realized the error of our ways. We got there. We grew as people.
Yeah, we grew.
Yeah,
we grew
100%.
So much, Wayne.
100%. This whole episode is just us been growing as people.
Guys, this is part of my cosplay for Comic-Con. If you know who this is, it's gonna be quite exciting. I can't wait to mope around the place. Just saying.
Yeah. So I mean, look, there's like we've talked about Picard, we've talked about Mando a wee bit, but
Yeah.
we've talked at length about multitude of toxicity and John Hughes
Yeah.
making one of the worst films I've ever seen in my
The
life.
80s was, Wayne, there was a lot of cocaine. Please don't underestimate the amount of cocaine that was going on during the cocaine years of the 70s and 80s. Unspeakable shit came out of Hollywood. But like I do kind of, I miss boob comedies,
Boob comedy.
you know, just where they didn't, you know, like they weren't trying to do high art. They were just making porkies. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But
yeah.
then American Pie kind of, they were too expensive. They looked too expensive, and they were too. They were very fratty. I won't be watching those again. I aged out of those ones by the second one.
I think most people did.
Again, a couple of charismatic stars in your absolute piece of garbage will elevate it to a point that maybe it didn't deserve. There's a scene in Meatballs in the kitchen where PJ Stoles, who I think was PJ Souls is like 17 or something. And Bill Murray, who's probably about 45, is just like slapping her on the tits with a spatula. And you know that was improvised. And you're like, you fucking prick. She knows the camera's rolling, and she's just gonna smile and go along with it because you're the hero. Oh, Meatballs doesn't stand up either. Don't watch Meatballs.
Jesus. What about Stripes?
Oh, fuck. Oh, I'm talking about Stripes.
You're talking about Stripes. You Michael C.
I
Hall, Bill
wish
Murray's
to
movies.
take back the Meatballs slander, although I'll probably watch Meatballs and then
I think
go,
we need to
"Oh,
now. I think we need to now. I think we need to go find out
Yeah.
what kind of debauchery is in Meatballs. You know.
Oh, guys, I would absolutely, I'll tell you, if we get together, I would absolutely stream with y'alls, and I could behave myself and I could obey terms of service, but we'd have to we'd be playing a game or doing something nonsense. But yeah, probably not watching Meatballs.
But we do have to record a commentary when Jill gets back from Japan and when Darren is not off being extremely social. We have to record our commentary for the 2000s Dungeons and Dragons film starring Jeremy Irons and Thora Birch. That was promised, you know, so we have to do
the
that.
prince that was promised.
It is.
Guys, I promise I will not watch it again until we're watching it.
Yeah, because I watched it again recently. I watched it just to kind of see what we were in for. Holy sweet Jesus Christ. Fuck me. That's
Oh my god.
It's just yeah. That got released in cinemas. So,
It did. I was there, bitch.
Yeah, Honor Amongst
was
Thieves
there.
is fucking Goodfellas compared to it, like, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Justice for Jonathan.
Justice for Jonathan. Jesus Christ. On that note, folks, this has been a duo pubcast. I've been Wayne.
I've been Kim.
Until next time, folks, when the team are reunited, we will see you. Stay safe. Look after yourselves. Don't watch 16 Candles ever again.
No, don't.
See you later. We did it because you don't have to.
Yeah.